At this point in time, I would like to introduce our speaker for today, Mr. Ben Rickett. Well, actually, first, I'm going to introduce John Jadon. John is the athletic director for Dalton State College, and he's here today with Ben. We're going to be talking, obviously, about the Dalton State golf team, but John has a few important things he'd like to say to us. John?
Thank you, Smitty. Good afternoon to everyone. And I appreciate being here. Appreciate Smitty having us out. I know it's been a few years since Ben spoke. I was in the audience last time he was here. And Kevin Brunson was your president then. So you can remember that. That's been a long time since Kevin Brunson was the president. I think there's been 4 presidents since then.
It's been
a while.
Been 4 years. I think that's right.
So I put on everyone's table a little information about Dalton State athletics, some of our accomplishments in our 7 short years of becoming an athletics department as a 4-year institution. We were a number of years ago when we were a junior college, but these are our 4-year accomplishments as Dalton State. And then on the back, I shared with you the principles by which we operate the athletics department. We call that the Roadrunner Way. And so I just share that with you. It's kind of a little public service announcement to Smitty and maybe the next president to have me out here again to share the meaning of what those are and how they guide us as an athletics department. And so I'd love to do that in the future. The other thing I wanted to share with you is on September 20th, we're going to be holding a golf tournament here at the club to support Dalton State Athletic scholarships for all of our sport teams, as well as Society 63. Now, you might be wondering, what is Society 63? Well, the 63 stands for the year the college was chartered, and that's our alumni association for Dalton State. We, thanks to Dr. Venable's vision, a couple years ago, we hired a director of government and alumni relations, Valerie Pratt. Valerie has since gone on to another position down in the Atlanta area. So we'll be replacing that position here in the next few months. But over the course of reinvigorating and putting in some new blood and new energy into our alumni association, we wanted to have a fundraiser, an annual fundraiser to benefit both athletics and our alumni association, creating a little synergy, if you will, among our college. It's not just a silo effect, if you will, just for athletics or just for trying to do things that'll provide support for both those departments. So we'd love to have you participate, very similar to what Jason shared a minute ago. Sponsorships are available. If you have any questions, you need a little warm up for the Rotary golf tournament, you need to come out on September 20th. We're going to have a morning and an afternoon tee time. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities to fit into your schedule. We'd love to have you take part in that. Now, it's been my honor to be the warm-up act for the real presenter today. And I know Smitty's got some other things he wants to share about Ben, so I won't steal any of his thunder. But Smitty, we'll turn it back over to you.
All right, well,
thank you,
John. So when is your tournament again?
September 20th.
September 20th. I need to remember that, September 20th. Thank you, John. Coach Rickett is the director for the Dalton State Golf program and serves as the head coach for the men's team. A native of Surrey, England, is a former top 100 in the world as an amateur. He made match play at the 2006 and 2009 British Amateur, as well as several English amateurs reaching the round of 16 in 2006. Rickett came to Dalton State from his alma mater, the University of Tennessee at Chattanooga. As both a coach and a student athlete, he helped build the Mox program into a national power. His Mox teams were a fixture in the NCAA Division I Top 25 throughout his playing career, achieving a #1 ranking in 2008. In May of 2010, he was named a full-time assistant for the men's golf program at UTC, where he assisted in all aspects of the program, including recruiting, scheduling, practice, and on-course coaching. Ben's also caddied for the 2012 U.S. Amateur champion Stephen Fox and helped Fox overcome a late deficit to win the title. This victory carried with it a prestigious invite to compete in 2013 Masters, where Coach Rickett was also on the bag for Stephen. Ben and his wife, Shelley, formerly Taylor, reside in Dalton and have 3 boys, Calvin, Adrian, and Brooks. Some of his achievements are 4 Jack Nicklaus Award winners, Sean Elliott, S.M. Lee, and Ben Rebney. Does that say that right? 2 individual national champions, Sean Elliott, 1 Phil Mickelson Award winners, S.M. Lee, 11 All-Americans, 23 All-SSAC, 5 individual SSAC champions, Sean Elliott, Chase Jones, S.M. Lee, and Ben Rebney on one separate occasion. 5 SSAC championships in 2015, 16, 17, 18, and 19. 4 SSAC Player of the Years, S.M. Lee and Ben Rebney twice on each one. 1 SSAC Newcomer of the Year, 2 SSAC Freshman of the Year, S.M. Lee and Zach Womack. A 2018 National Runner-Up, 1 NAIA National Player of the Year, S.M. Lee in 2018, and 3-time SSAC Coach of the Year, 2017, 18, and 19. And I'm certain y'all been watching this go by. He was named the National Coach of the Year for this year. So let's give a hand and welcome our speaker, Mr. Ben Rickett.
It has been a few years. I appreciate you all having me back. One of these things, again, being from England, fitting into a community, it's different. You come here, again, I grew up in London. So you've gone from London to Chattanooga to Dalton. And again, I'm proud to say that even inside the Dalton, Varnell, that's where I consider home and kind of when I look at communities and stuff, being from England, even though I've been over here 15 years, there's still a little bit of a language barrier. So I hate to kind of give you some insight into my life. I'm a big McDonald's fan. I don't know whether any of you have been to the Varnell McDonald's fan, but they're a little on the countryer side of things. And sure enough, I've got in that habit of not getting out the car. So obviously when you're talking through a speaker and I'm talking through a speaker, we have some difficulties, and more so with the word straw. And they're like, straw? Yeah, I said straw. And I said, oh, straw. Like that. I said, oh, we're on the same page. So, but when you, these communities as well, and I use the term community a lot around Dalton, Georgia. It's unlike something that I've ever been a part of. Again, growing up in such a large city, and there's no, best word to put it, again, there's no togetherness. And in Dalton, Georgia, I feel that more than anywhere that I've lived over the past 15 years, and that's no different with running a program. I've been fortunate enough. I took over started the program back in 2012. It's still the only original coach that is still here. And again, it's from my standpoint, I'm very proud to say that again, I was able to start it and still here today because I love this community. My wife is from this community, and obviously we got three young kids in this community. But something that these last 18 months have taught me a lot. And I think that I can look around this room and I'm sure everyone can say the same. Going to kind of backtrack a little bit. I was on the phone to a certain member in this room for 20 minutes this morning, and he told me not to embarrass him. So I'm going to stick by my words, Mr. Caperton, and not embarrass you. But I look back over these last 18 months, and obviously as well as I've got a 12-month-old baby at home where my parents have yet to be able to travel over and kind of meet this young child. So again, we've all got personal stories about the difficulties, but kind of what I wanted to share was, from my standpoint, that seemed like there was light at the end of the tunnel. And I've kind of got it down a little bit further down in my notes than maybe it should be. But where I wanted to start was actually, I'm extremely grateful for the administration that we had at Dalton State, that we were allowed to allow these 18 to 22-year-old kids do what they love in a safe way. Because finding an outlet during a pandemic is extremely difficult, and there was a lot of sitting at home, and you're seeing it day to day with kind of the mental illness, the physical side of things, and we were able to do things safely, responsibly. Now, 18 to 22-year-old, telling them to be responsible for 9 or 12 months. Now that was a whole task in itself, but we were given that opportunity. And then again, from a program standpoint, from an athletic department standpoint, again, from a Dalton State standpoint, we wanted to make sure that opportunity was not abused, and we took everything seriously, but also giving these student athletes an opportunity to do what they love in a time that was very, very difficult for everyone. I look back over these last 8 years, and for anyone that's started, I'm sure there's people in here that have started businesses. I was blessed to be chosen as the person to start the Dalton State Golf program. If someone asked me to start something again, good luck, find someone else. I'm not doing it again. But one time was enough. And I look back and the people that I want to give a huge amount of credit to are those first people, that first recruiting class that I painted a picture. And when you take over a program or you start a program, you look at say, okay, what's the big vision? And my wife kind of gave me a heads up early on and said, listen, if you start something in Dalton, you better be good and you better win, because Dalton doesn't like losing at anything. So I said, well, not to put any pressure. But these players, this recruiting class that came in 2012, that vision, they said, you know what, maybe we can do something, and we've progressed over the years, and obviously each year the ultimate goal is to win one of these. And the coolest story with all of this was back at the end of 2012. I think we were ranked inside the top 5 nationally, and sure enough, we're about to get on a plane to go to Las Vegas within 3 days, and John on the Monday comes up to me and says, there's about a 50-50 chance you're going. And I said, where has that come from? Next day, it's about a 25% chance you're going. And I said, do I need to kind of give these players a heads up that we probably aren't going? And he said, just kind of give them a heads up. And by that Friday, again, everything had hit the wall and the pandemic was in full force. And over March, April, May, I had 2 players, well, actually 3 players, that the NEI granted every player in this, I believe it was the spring sports, so the winter sports were not included, an extra year of eligibility. So all of those seniors that were on track to graduate or going to graduate had a decision to make. Do I come back or do I graduate? I had one player decide, he said, I've enjoyed my time here. It's ready for me to move on and go make some money. I said, don't blame you. But one player in particular, who is going to hold a special place in my heart. I actually invited him to come, and he had to choose between coming to Rotary and going on his honeymoon. Obviously, there's an empty seat next to me, so he chose wisely. But with collegiate athletics, these relationships start a long time before they set foot on campus. And this one in particular, a player called Ben Rickett. In 2020, he was named the National Player of the Year on a season that was cut short, obviously at that point as well, same vision. And I remember kind of going back 8 years, as soon as I started this program, it was a player that I started recruiting. And we get to the end of March and he's calling me. He said, what do I do? Do I come back? Do I? And I said, and at that point as well, again, based on these relationships, you have to take that, you almost take the coaching hat off and say, all right, then I'm going to talk to you from a friend standpoint. And you had to weigh up the options. And he said, all right, well, I'm coming back. Then I get a phone call the next week. No, I think I'm going to turn pro. And this kept going back and forth for about a month. And he said, that's it, I'm coming back. And I said, okay, well, season comes around. And again, obviously at that point, I've got a new recruiting class. And a lot of you that know coaches don't like change. They don't like changing anything. So now all of a sudden you're working on a 5-year rotation instead of a 4-year rotation. And so you've got the defending National Player of the Year that's come back with a group of young freshmen that again, you need that leadership. Anyone that's been on teams, again, whether it's in the business world, you need good leadership. And Ben had developed into one of those great leaders just by, again, he's asking questions and he's doing the right things. And as the season goes by, he's struggling. He's, again, a National Player of the Year, and the previous year's got expectations, and he's just, again, his golf is not where he wants it to be. And he's asked, he said, what do I do? What do I do? I just, like with anything, just stick with it. You're doing the right thing. So kind of fast forward to April. He starts to find form, and anyone that knows anything about me, the season's important, but April and May are the most important times of the year. That's when our conference championship, that's when the national championship is. And again, in any sport, you're trying to peak for the right time. And we host the #1 event over at the farm, normally the first week in April, where again, we've tried to mirror what the Carpet Capital Collegiate did years ago, and do it from the NAI standpoint. So again, we had 9 of the top 10 teams in the country over at the farm, and all of a sudden your top players start to hit form, which again, as a coach, starts to get you excited. And we get to the conference, and again, they take care of business. But the coolest part about the national championship, when we have about a 3-week gap in between conference and national, so you're trying to peak for conference, and then you've got to keep them sharp. So normally one of the weeks is finals week, so I give them that week off, and then they come back refreshed. And we end up having to go up to Silvis, Illinois, which is about 2 hours west of Chicago. So anyone that knows anything about weather up in Chicago in May, toss it up in the air, it could be anything. And we got to experience a little bit of that too. But Ben kind of took over the reins at the national championship. When you, as I said, this picture has been painted in his eyes for 8 years at this point, and making sure that again it was constant, that they knew the expectations of the program. Now again, you could go your whole life and never win one of those trophies, but you also wanted to be in position on Friday. It's like with any golf tournament, on the final day, to have a chance, and that's what we said. I said on Friday we want a chance. For the first day, pours down with rain. Second day, a little better scoring conditions, and the third day was probably the hardest from a wind standpoint. And you knew something on the practice days leading up, that the focus and everything about him was just different to any tournament that I'd been to. So we get to the final day, and we have I think it's a 2-shot lead at that point. So again, you're in the position in that top 5 where you think to yourself, we have a legitimate chance. And distinctively remember, like, again, I'm not a huge meeting person. I don't like meetings, but it's because I feel like if you have too many of them, they're not quite as effective. So we get a little meeting together the night before, and kind of Ben took over the meeting, which kind of opened my eyes a little bit to, again, that position of leadership. And we get to that final day, and sure enough, if we're going to win one of these, it wasn't going to come easy, because the last 6 holes, it pours. And like, as I said, the previous 4 or 5 days prior to that, the mental focus, everything about it was spot on, and it continued that way. And I'm not going to put any names on this, but my third player left. I kind of knew the situation, and we had 2 shots to work with 3 players left. And anyone that's watched the PGA Tour, it's where the John Deere Classic was, where Jordan Spieth won his first PGA Tour play. There's water left, and sure enough, that person that was my third to last coming in makes him a nice double bogey on the second to last hole. And so, well, there's my 2 shots that I've wasted in a heartbeat. So I've got a true freshman that steps up and makes his par, doesn't ask kind of the situation. Then Ben's walking up to me, and he looks at me and says, "What's the deal? What's the situation?" I said, "You want to know?" And he said, "Tell me." And I said, "All right, we're going to make a par down his last hole to go to a playoff." I said, "Okay." Hits the shot exactly where he wants, and then we start walking down this fairway, and he starts this almost sob story, "Coach, all this." And I said, "Shut up. Like, we've still got things we got to take care of here." And we look at this putt. He's got a 25-footer in the pouring rain. And I said, anyone that's seen the video, he's got a hat backwards because you don't like it dripping in front of you. And I said, that's not the ideal way to have a putt that wins a national championship. But sure enough, someone that's come back for a 5th year ends up making the putt to win a national championship. And I think that when you look at a fairy tale ending for a guy's senior year, again, never was able to do what he wanted to do individually, but put the individual stuff aside to take care of the team. And someone like him, as I said, I just got back from his wedding on Thursday night. It's people like that, and they're the relationships that I've been fortunate enough over the years to make with these players. And but one of the biggest things I took away from this year was players under the age of, again, I'm sure even my age, we want instant gratification. Everything that we do, we want a result now. And what we learned over this COVID year was that's almost impossible to do, because our goal was in May. and we're starting in August, and some of the disciplines that these players had to learn, the socializing side of things, because of the protocols that we had within athletics, you knew that if you were in close contact and you weren't smart, there was a 14-day quarantine, and there was certain things that they knew that they had to do differently. They had to adjust their lifestyle if we were going to achieve what we did at the end of it all. And something to that, just the group was special. They bought into it. I'm not saying that we didn't have a hiccup or two along the way, and that's just part of a 9-month season. But at the end of the day, this was a group of student athletes that bought into the vision of the school, of the athletic department, and of the program, and being able to kind of share these stories that go behind the scenes is what to me makes everything about coaching worth it, because everyone can see the stuff on the outside, but there are so many things that happen behind the scenes. And again, the support from our athletic department, from the school, and just being able to do things. And again, these players have been, and again, students in general, being able to deal with adversity on a whole new level to what we've ever had to face in the past. It's one of those situations that, as a coach and as a member of this community, it's an absolute blessing to be able to coach this team and be able to use this as my platform to be able to share again, whether it's our story or whether it's the college's story and everything about it. And I use the term Dalton State and puzzle, and more so with the golf program. I look at this as a big puzzle, where if we don't have all the pieces, the support from the community, we got Dalton Country Club, we got the farm, we got Knob North, we got our strength and conditioning program. It doesn't work without any one of those pieces. And again, we've been so fortunate that the success has been drawn because it's a huge team effort. And there's a lot of joking about it. I just drive the bus. I get them there. I step back and let them do their thing. But it has been a true blessing coaching this, and hopefully this isn't the last one, but it's nice to get the first one under the belt. And teams in the NAI, it's a handpicked field. Like, as I said, make this a little bit of a mess. It happens. And again, you're constantly looking for players, and if it's the right fit from a local player here, then great. If it's not, then we'll be looking elsewhere. I currently have players. I have a player from England, a player from Canada, the Atlanta area, from Tallahassee, Florida. So I mean, we're trying to bring all kinds of players to this community, and obviously players that represent the school and represent this community the way it needs to be represented.
Well, Ben, we thank you for being here. Let's give Ben a hand for. At the risk of sounding maudlin, which I don't want to do, what I hear in Ben's talk to us about this is he values students. He values them. That's why this program is getting stronger and better, and they're winning. It's not, no offense, it's not because of his expertise, because he has that, but they see that value. When people are valued, it's important to them, and they give their best. So that's why you're seeing success, John. That's why Ben's seeing success. And I know I'm embarrassing you right now, but it's the truth. Margaret, that's why you're seeing success in that. So those are the type of people we want to be involved with what we're doing. And by the way, we know, I don't know if you know this or not, but Ben is a Rotarian as well. He is with the Carpet Capital City Club here in town. And I'm thankful to call him a fellow Rotarian, but also a friend too. I'm just going to tell a little byline story. His father-in-law, I taught with his father-in-law back at Eastbrook Middle School back in a few years back. And quality family, quality people. So, John, Ben, thank you so much for being here today. We'll be donating a book to our local library in your honor. And again, we thank you for your time.